My name is Connie Wilson, and I'm 28 years old. From the outside, if you'd looked at my life a year ago, it probably seemed like I had everything figured out. I worked as a logistics coordinator for a mid-size freight company in Nashville. It wasn't glamorous, but it was solid, dependable. The pay was steady, the benefits good, and I was skilled at what I did. My days were a controlled chaos of routing trucks across 6 states, handling emergency shipments, and troubleshooting before problems even materialized. Every morning, I was up at 5:30 a.m., carving out a brief workout in my spare bedroom. Weights, a pull-up bar, a treadmill I promised myself I'd actually use. Shower, coffee, out the door by 6:45, sitting at my desk by 7 sharp. Headset on, maps and spreadsheets open and ready. Some days I was diverting medical supplies around a storm front, other days rushing a crucial machine part to a factory before production ground to a halt. Drama wasn't part of my work. It was about thinking ahead, staying calm, and moving pieces efficiently. That was my rhythm, my competence, my control. My home life mirrored it, practical, stable, under my command. I rented a modest 2-bedroom apartment 15 minutes from work, beige walls, industrial carpet, nothing fancy. Over time, it became mine. Clearance couches, a big TV mounted on the wall, thriving plants I somehow managed to keep alive. One bedroom was my personal sanctuary, the other doubled as a home office and mini gym. My truck, a fully paid Ford Ranger, ran like a tank. My dad, a retired financial advisor, had drilled one principle into me: control your money or it controls you. So I stayed out of debt, kept savings growing, invested, and avoided unnecessary drama. That last part, avoiding drama, was something life eventually challenged me on. Weekends were simple: hiking trails near the city, watching Predators games with my best friend Noah, tinkering with my truck when the weather was right. I had a small circle of friends who were reliable, people who'd show up with jumper cables without a second thought. No theatrics, no emotional storms. Exactly how I liked it. That was where I was when I met Liam. We connected on a dating app roughly 18 months before my world started to shift. Liam was 26, a paralegal at a downtown family law firm. His profile was almost suspiciously normal. No shirtless selfies, no cryptic quotes about loyalty, just photos with his dog, snapshots of hikes, one at the courthouse steps with a slightly crooked tie and a half-embarrassed smile. Our first date was meant to be casual, coffee, neutral territory. If it was awkward, we could leave with a polite, "I have an early morning." But coffee stretched into dinner, and dinner stretched into closing down the cafe because we didn't notice the staff trying to wrap up. Exposed brick, reclaimed wood, a downtown ambiance. I arrived 15 minutes early, scrolling through routing emails on my phone. He walked in, tall, dark-haired, slightly overdressed, yet it fit his charm. When he saw me, relief washed over his face. We talked for hours. His work in family law, messy divorces, custody disputes, my logistics world, and how easily chaos could consume the day when trucks didn't move. Our families, how we ended up in Nashville, our visions for the next 5 years. He appreciated my stability. I appreciated his emotional literacy, the rare skill of asking, listening, and remembering. He spoke of stability, partnership. At the time, it sounded perfect. He mentioned his last relationship was complicated, but resolved. I filed it away and didn't press. I wanted openness, not suspicion. The first 6 months were easy, joyful even, rotating between our apartments, trying Pinterest recipes and laughing when we inevitably ordered pizza. We attended each other's work events. He met my parents, who loved him, my mom for his career focus, my dad for his grasp of financial terms like index funds. He was seamlessly included in domestic rituals, the domestic daydream forming in its cozy, predictable way. Then came Brianna. Technically, I never met her directly at first. She was his best friend, his college ex, someone he'd shared enough life with to make continued friendship seem natural. They broke up 8 months before Liam and I matched, he said. Mutual, grown apart. I told myself that was fine. People maintain friendships with exes. Boundaries, I thought, were implicit. But it started with small disruptions. A text during a movie, him glancing down, smiling at the screen, typing a response, apologizing. Brianna's having roommate drama. I shrugged. Fine, people vent. But it escalated. More texts, more calls, late-night conversations, hour-long private talks. He'd step onto the balcony or into another room, pacing, murmuring. I'd hear fragments of their lives spilling into ours. I tried to stay calm, understanding, reasonable, telling myself I was overreacting, yet patterns formed. Every date night, every shared quiet evening, Brianna seemed to require immediate attention. Car troubles, work problems, personal issues. Liam would vanish for 45 minutes to an hour at a time. He framed it as care, duty, loyalty. I pushed back cautiously, wary of being labeled jealous or controlling. One night, midway through a movie, his phone buzzed. His expression softened, tender in a way that betrayed familiarity. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Yeah, Bree's just going through some stuff," he said quickly, not elaborating. Our evening shifted to secondary status. I watched him typing, and I understood the unspoken truth. Brianna wasn't just an ex, she was an ongoing presence inside our relationship. I tried to rationalize, hoped boundaries would naturally form, told myself I was being dramatic, but the slow erosion of my place in his life had begun. The unraveling started with her birthday. Folding laundry one afternoon, he mentioned casually, "Bree's birthday is Friday, and gonna stop by for a bit." I asked innocently, "What time should I be ready?" He paused, hesitated, then said it was more of a college friends thing. I laughed it off. I could meet new people, but he added, "It might make Brianna uncomfortable seeing us together." The words hit like a brick. Why were her feelings prioritized over mine? Why did her comfort outweigh my place in the relationship? I swallowed my questions and nodded. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, rehashing every detail, trying to convince myself it wasn't serious. But the weight sat like a stone in my stomach. On Friday, he left at 7 p.m., looking sharper than usual, cologne in the air, hair styled like our first dates. I tried not to overthink. I cleaned, watched mindless Netflix, waited. By 10:30 p.m., no sign of him. By 12:25 a.m., I went to bed. He returned the next morning, normal, smiling, hugging, kissing my forehead, claiming the party was fine, nothing special. I nearly believed it, until 2 days later, Noah cornered me after our pickup basketball game. "Connie," he said quietly, pulling out his phone, "I need to show you something. Not because I want to stir drama, because I'd want someone to show me." My stomach tightened as he handed me the screen. It was an Instagram story reposted by one of Brianna's old friends, a group shot of a couch full of people, everyone laughing, drinks in hand, and there, dead center on the couch, sat Liam. His arm was around Brianna, her body tucked into his like she belonged there. Nothing overtly intimate, no kiss, no hand-holding, but the body language, anyone with working eyes could see it. They looked like a couple. My chest went hot and cold at the same time. Noah watched my face carefully. Could be innocent, or it could be not innocent. I forced a tight smile. "Thanks for telling me." I didn't cry. I didn't blow up Liam's phone. I didn't even mention it. I just carried the image around like a fresh bruise nobody could see. Then came the lie. We had plans to get dinner after work, a tiny place near the courthouse that made the best brick oven pizza in the city. At 6 p.m., Liam texted, "Running late, stuck at the office. Can we push to 7:30? "No problem." I grabbed a drink at the bar nearby to kill time. At 7:15, I headed toward the restaurant. And that's when I saw him. Not coming from downtown, where his office was, he was walking from the opposite direction where the public parking lots were, laughing at something on his phone. When he spotted me, his smile faltered for half a second. It was the same flicker he had when he told me I wasn't invited to Brianna's party. Then he plastered on the warm, boyfriend-approved smile. "Connie, sorry I'm late. Work was crazy." I forced my own smile. "Yeah, you mentioned." Dinner was awful. Not the food was great, but Liam was glued to his phone, screen lighting up every few minutes, his fingers tapping quickly under the table, his eyes darting down, then up, then down again. When I asked about his day, he gave vague one-sentence answers. When I talked about mine, he nodded politely without looking up from his messages. By the time we finished, something in me had snapped quietly. We drove back to my place. I showered, crawled into bed, and watched him fall asleep instantly, like nothing was wrong. Around 1 a.m., his phone lit up on the nightstand. I didn't touch it, didn't snoop, didn't unlock anything. I didn't need to. The notification preview said everything. "Brianna, had fun today. Let's do it again soon." My rib cage tightened around my lungs. Today, the day he claimed he was stuck at the office, I lay there for hours, staring at the ceiling, my heart pounding like I was hearing the truth for the first time. The next morning, I waited until he'd had his coffee. I wanted to be calm, clear. "Hey," I said, "I have a question." "Sure," he said, scrolling through Instagram. "What's up?" "You said you were stuck at the office yesterday, but when I got to the restaurant, you were walking from the other direction. Where were you, actually?" His entire body tensed. He looked up sharply, eyes narrowing like I had accused him of a felony. "Are you tracking me now?" he snapped. "That's creepy, Connie." I blinked. "Tracking you? I was early. I saw you walking up. It's not complicated." He set his mug down too hard, ceramic cracking against my counter. "Fine," he said with a sharp exhale. "I was having coffee with Bri. She's having a rough week. I didn't tell you because you get weird about her." I stared at him. "Weird? I get weird? Liam, you lied." "I didn't lie," he shot back. "I just didn't mention it because you overreact constantly." There it was, the pivot, the deflection, the gaslighting. He was caught, but somehow this was my fault. "Liam," I said quietly, "you lied about being at work. You lied about being with her. This isn't me overreacting. This is you hiding things." He stood abruptly, grabbing his keys. "I'm not doing this," he said. "You're being insecure, and I refuse to be in a relationship where I'm constantly interrogated." "Insecure?" I repeated, the words slicing clean through me. "Insecure because my boyfriend lies about seeing his ex-girlfriend? That's not insecurity. That's me paying attention." He shook his head, already walking to the door. "Maybe we both need space," he said, voice cold. "Think about whether this is even working." And then he left, just walked out, leaving me standing barefoot on the kitchen tile, my coffee going cold, wondering how the hell I ended up defending myself after catching him lying. I didn't chase him, I didn't text, I didn't beg. I just sat down at my table, staring at the empty chair across from me, feeling the numb, suffocating realization. The person I trusted most had been treating me like the backup plan for months, and I didn't even see the worst part coming. The first day after Liam walked out, I kept my emotions in a tight, airtight box. That's one thing logistics teaches you. You don't panic during a crisis. You stabilize, breathe, break things into manageable parts. So I woke up, worked out, showered, and went to the office like nothing had happened. But every time my phone lit up, which wasn't often, I felt a stupid automatic jolt in my chest. I kept telling myself not to care, that he asked for space, he made the choice. Still, by the second day of silence, the quiet felt like formless fog. I buried myself in work. A major manufacturing client had an urgent shipment needing rerouting through 2 storm zones. I triple-checked every route, called carriers non-stop, kept my headset on for hours without a break. It helped. Crisis-shape thinking always did. By the end of day 2, the job was done flawlessly, and I went home mentally fried but emotionally steadied. Day 3 was harder because day 3 was when my thoughts stopped racing and instead slowed into a cold, aching realization. If he loved me, really loved me, he wouldn't abandon our relationship over a single difficult conversation. He wouldn't punish me for noticing his lies. He wouldn't run the moment accountability tapped his shoulder. And then day 4 hit. It was lunch break. I was eating leftover stir-fry at my desk, scrolling aimlessly through Instagram, something I rarely did at work. That's when I saw it. Liam had posted a story, a nighttime view of downtown Nashville taken from a high-rise balcony I didn't recognize. The caption, "Sometimes you need to be around people who actually appreciate you." My stomach tightened, but it was the next text, the one from Noah, that made my vision blur for a moment. "Noah, hey, not trying to make things worse, but you should see Brianna's story." My finger hesitated for half a second. Only half. Then I searched Brianna's account. It was public. Her most recent story hit me like a clean punch to the ribs. A short video, Brianna and Liam cooking together in her apartment kitchen, laughing, talking over each other. She wore one of his hoodies, the navy one he'd gotten on our Gatlinburg trip. At the end of the clip, he spun her gently by the waist, like someone spinning the person they're dating, not the person they used to date. My body didn't flood with anger. It froze. There's a kind of pain that's so sharp, it doesn't even feel like emotion. It feels like clarity. Cold, perfect, unmistakable clarity. Brianna wasn't just a friend. Liam wasn't just helping her through a tough time. This wasn't complicated history, it was simple. He asked for space so he could try out his backup plan. He wanted freedom without consequences. He wanted to test drive his ex while keeping me as the safety net. The truth wasn't just in the video, it was in the hoodie, in the effortless closeness, in the way he chose her like it was the most natural thing in the world. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I put my phone down and breathed slow, controlled, one inhale at a time. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I didn't draft a paragraph-long text demanding explanations. No, I picked up my phone and typed one message. "Liam, saw the stories. Hope you find what you're looking for. We're done. Send." Then I blocked his number, blocked him on social media, removed every photo we took together, deleted every screenshot of cute texts, cleared out every chat history tab. A clean break. It hurt, but the no more pulling out a thorn that had been rotting under the skin. The pain was sharp, but the relief that followed was deeper. The next morning, Noah showed up at my door holding a to-go bag from my favorite Thai place. "I come bearing noodles in judgment," he said. I let him in. He unpacked the food while I sat at the counter, arms slumped on the cool granite. He didn't ask what happened. He knew. We ate in silence for a minute before he said, "You know you did the right thing, right?" "I know. You also know he's going to spin this to people as you being jealous over nothing." I sighed. "Yeah, he's already planting that seed with his Instagram captions." Noah leaned back onto Czar's stool. "Then we'll plant the truth. If anyone asks, we tell them what actually happened. He lied. He hid things. He treated Brianna like the real girlfriend and you like the emotional babysitter." I didn't realize I'd been holding tension in my shoulders until they softened. "Thanks," I whispered. "Always." The next few weeks became a slow reclaiming of my life. I deep-cleaned my apartment, reorganized the living room, got rid of the fancy espresso machine he convinced me to buy for us, even though he used it more than I ever did. I washed the sheets twice, not because I needed to, but because the old ones felt like ghosts. Then I picked up hobbies I'd dropped. I rejoined an old hiking group, went mountain biking with Noah, started cooking for one again, actual meals, not just peanut butter toast eaten over the sink. And the strangest part, my apartment felt lighter, quieter, not in a lonely way, but in a way that let me breathe, less cramped, less anxious, less like I was waiting for someone else's emotional storms to pass. One night, I realized I hadn't checked my phone for hours, not out of avoidance, but because I didn't need to. That was new and good, really good. A month later, I saw him. I was loading groceries into my cart at the store when I spotted movement in the corner of my eye. Liam, 2 aisles away. He hadn't seen me yet. He looked different, tired, pale, dark circles under his eyes that weren't there before, his hair unstyled, his shoulders slightly hunched, like he'd aged 10 years in 4 weeks. I could have pretended not to see him, but I'm not a coward, and I'm not ashamed of how I handled things. So I walked toward him and said, "Hey, Liam." He spun around, eyes widening like he'd seen a ghost. For a split second, something like guilt flickered across his face. Then he put on a shaky smile. "Connie, wow, hi, how are you?" "I'm good," I said simply. "Work's been busy." He swallowed hard. "Yeah, me too. Well, trying to be." He looked down at his cart, then back up at me. His voice dropped. "I've been meaning to reach out." "I blocked you," I reminded him. "I know," he gave a hollow laugh. "You're not wrong for that." Silence stretched for a second. Then he said the thing I knew was coming but still felt like a dull blade. I made a huge mistake. Brianna and I tried something after the break, and it was a disaster. Of course it was, because reality never lives up to nostalgia. He took a breath, voice trembling. I realized what I had with you was real, Connie. I messed up. I know that, and I want to fix it. Please, can we talk? Just coffee, or... No. I said it gently but firmly, like setting down a heavy object without letting it crash. He blinked. No? You made your choices, I said softly. I'm making mine. His face fell, crumpling at the edges like someone let the air out of him. So you're not even going to hear me out? I just did, I said. You regret the choice you made, but regret isn't the same as change. He stood there, breathing unevenly, like he wanted to argue but couldn't find the words. Take care of yourself, Liam, I said finally. Then I walked away, and this time I didn't look back, because I was finally choosing someone who deserved my loyalty. Me. For a while after the grocery store encounter, life returned to something resembling balance. Not perfect, not effortless, but stable, like a house finally settling after years of structural strain. Work picked up in the best way. My team was crushing deadlines. I coordinated a multi-state shipment for a major medical client so flawlessly that corporate sent a memo naming me directly. It felt good to be recognized, to not have emotional chaos devouring every quiet hour of my day. I didn't post anything about my personal life online, but that didn't stop others from watching because a week after seeing Liam, Noah sent me a screenshot. Noah, he added me on LinkedIn and then messaged me asking how you've been. The message read, "Hey man, hope you're good. Just checking in. Is Connie okay?" I rolled my eyes so hard I thought they might lodge in the back of my skull. He has my number blocked, I said. I don't know why he thinks he gets a backdoor access through you. Noah shrugged. Some guys can't handle silence. It's louder than yelling. And silence was exactly what I gave him, not to be cruel, but because sometimes the only language someone understands is the one they force you to speak. Over the next month, Liam tried smaller, subtler ways of creeping back into my orbit. A mutual friend casually mentioning Liam was asking if you're seeing anyone, a random Instagram like on a photo from last year, the kind of move that screams, "I'm lurking, I want you to know I'm lurking, but I also want plausible deniability." He even added Noah's girlfriend on Facebook. She immediately sent me the friend request with, "Do you want me to decline or should I block him for sport?" I laughed harder than I had in a long time. "Block him," I said with extreme prejudice. But this was all build-up because the real moment, the one that ended any lingering doubt about who Liam really was, came at Noah's birthday party. It was a Saturday night at a low-key bar downtown, the kind with dim lights, pool tables, and the smell of lime wedges everywhere. Noah had booked a semi-private area, and people from work, college, and the hiking group drifted in throughout the night. I was in the middle of a pool game with Diego from logistics, lining up a tricky angle when I felt eyes on me. Not casual glances, that watching, that primal animal-level feeling of being observed. I straightened, chalking my cue slowly, and followed that invisible pull toward the bar, and there he was. Liam, standing too stiffly, wearing the blue button-down he always wore to look nice, hands shoved into his pockets, shoulders tight, scanning the room for me. He'd shown up uninvited, not by accident, not because a friend dragged him, not because he happened to be nearby. He came for me. Noah materialized at my side like a bodyguard. "Want me to tell him to leave?" I shook my head. "No, I'll handle it." Because the Connie who cried silently into her pillow months ago was gone, replaced by someone who knew exactly where the exit doors were and how to use them. I sat down my pool cue and walked toward him. "Liam?" He turned, eyes lightening up with something raw and desperate. "Connie, hey, I wasn't sure you'd want to talk to me." "You shouldn't be here," I said calmly. "This is Noah's birthday. You weren't invited." His throat bobbed in a swallow. "I know, I needed to see you. Please, can we talk?" I didn't respond. Silence was always more powerful than yelling. He took my quiet as permission to continue. "I've been going to therapy," he said, rushing the words out like he'd practiced them, really digging into my patterns, why I did what I did, and I know I messed up. I know I hurt you, but I've changed, I swear I have. I crossed my arms. "Liam, this isn't the time or place." "Please." he said again, voice cracking slightly. Just give me 5 minutes. I need you to know I'm not the same person, that I can be better for you. And there it was, the line he'd been building toward, the plea, the softening, the emotional fishing hook. I inhaled slowly. Liam, I said quietly, being better for me isn't the point. You needed to be better for yourself long before this. He blinked fast, surprised by the firmness in my voice. I miss us, he whispered. I miss what we had. Don't you? I stared at him, at the face I once loved, at the man who once held my hand through storms and then became the storm himself. I miss what I thought we had, I said, but that wasn't real, not for both of us. His face crumpled. Connie, I'm sorry. I chose wrong. I know that. I should have chosen you. I see that now. I shook my head. You don't get points, I said softly, for realizing my worth after you already threw it away. People nearby had stopped pretending not to listen. Even the bartender slowed his motion, wiping glasses. I lowered my voice, but kept it steady. You didn't choose wrong, Liam. You chose exactly what you wanted at the time. You just didn't like the consequences. He stared at me like I'd slapped him. Before he could speak, I finished it. You don't get to lose everything with Brianna and come running back to me for comfort. I'm not your backup plan. I never was, and I refuse to be now. The words landed like weight hitting wet concrete, splattering, sinking, unavoidable. Liam swallowed hard, eyes shining. So that's it. That's closure, I said. The closure you keep pretending you need for me. He opened his mouth again, maybe to argue, maybe to break, but Noah stepped beside me with a low, steady voice. You need to go, man. Liam looked between us, me unmoved, Noah unbudging and deflated. He walked out of the bar without looking back, and as the door swung shut behind him, the band playing on the small stage launched into a loud, upbeat song. Noah bumped my shoulder. You good? I exhaled, a long, clean breath that felt like unclenching a fist I didn't know I'd been making. Yeah, I said softly. I'm good. Better than good. For the first time in my adult life, I felt absolutely, unshakably free. In the weeks after Liam showed up at Noah's birthday party, things became strangely calm. Not the kind of calm you get when problems disappear, but the kind you feel when you finally stop letting other people create your storms. And in that new quiet, a healthier part of my life began to grow. His name was Kyle. I met him at a Saturday morning hiking group. He was a physical therapist with sunburnt skin, kind eyes, and a smile that looked like it had never once been weaponized. We ended up walking the last stretch of the trail side by side, talking about work, family, the merits of the perfect breakfast sandwich. It was easy. Too easy, honestly. After months of emotional gymnastics with Liam, the simplicity felt suspicious. But the more time we spent together, coffee dates that turned into lunch, long walks that turned into actual plans, the more I realized healthy doesn't feel dramatic. Healthy feels steady. Kyle didn't come with emotional emergencies disguised as excuses. He didn't disappear into another room to take calls with women he didn't have boundaries with. He didn't guilt me into silence when something hurt. If anything, he checked in more than I did. Are you okay with this? Did I misunderstand what you meant earlier? Tell me if something feels off. I'd rather know. It was strange at first to be treated with gentleness instead of suspicion, with care instead of defensiveness, with consistency instead of crumbs. 3 months after meeting him, we were in a comfortable, steady rhythm. 4 months in, he met my parents. My mom loved him instantly. My dad shook his hand with an approval I hadn't seen since high school graduation. 5 months in, we started talking lightly about moving in together one day. Not as a fantasy, but as a possibility, a choice, an adult decision, not a rescue mission. Everything about him felt earned, not clung to. But as my life steadied, someone else's began to crack, and that someone refused to stop dragging me into the wreckage. One Sunday afternoon, while Kyle and I were having brunch, my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. I don't usually answer unknown calls, but something, intuition, dread, who knows, made me swipe. Hello? A hesitant voice answered. Connie, it's Natalie, Liam's sister. I sat up straighter. Hi, Natalie. I said cautiously. What's going on? She exhaled shakily. Look, I know this is awkward, but I need to talk to you about Liam. Kyle paused mid-bite, eyebrows raised. I stepped outside onto the patio. What about him? I asked. He's not doing well, she said. Really not well. I stayed silent, letting her explain. Natalie continued in a strained whisper. He lost his job 2 weeks ago. His finances are a mess. He's depressed, barely leaves his room. He keeps saying he ruined everything, that he ruined you. He's stuck, Connie. He can't move forward. And he keeps saying the only way he'll get closure is if he hears from you. Ah, there it was. Not closure, responsibility shifting, emotional outsourcing, just like always. What exactly do you expect me to do? I asked, calmly. Just talk to him, she pleaded. One conversation. He needs to hear that you forgive him or he'll never be able to move on. Please. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Natalie, I have been very clear with him, with myself, with everyone. I'm not going backwards. But you could help him, she insisted. You meant something to each other. Isn't that worth at least one conversation? I took a breath. Deep, slow, controlled. The way you steady your voice before saying the thing someone doesn't want to hear. Natalie, I said, I am genuinely sorry he's struggling, but his healing isn't my responsibility. Closure is something he has to build for himself. It's not something I can hand him like a signed permission slip. She bristled. So you're just going to leave him suffering? He's suffering from his own decisions, I said gently, not mine. Silence, then sharply, that's really selfish. I let the accusations settle for a moment before answering. Not cruelly, but clearly. No, I said, what would be selfish is asking me to step into the fire he lit and pretend it's my job to put it out. I spent months trying to be enough for him while he kept one foot in someone else's world. I'm not doing that again, not even as a favor. Natalie didn't respond, so I finished it. Tell him I wish him well, I said, but I'm not reopening a door I closed for a reason. Then I hung up, and when I stepped back inside, Kyle looked at me like he already knew the whole story. You okay? He asked softly. I nodded. Just someone trying to make their problem my problem. He slid his hand across the table, taking mine. You don't owe anyone your peace, he said, especially not someone who broke it. The relief that washed through me was immediate, because he wasn't jealous, he wasn't threatened, he wasn't insecure. He understood what self-respect looks like, and he stood with me in it. 3 months after, the regional director position opened up at work. 6 weeks of interviews, case studies, logistics presentations, and meetings with higher-ups. When the offer came through, it included a salary increase big enough to make me sit down. Life was moving, not backward, not sideways, forward. Kyle and I were doing the same. No pressure, just progress. And Liam, I heard through the grapevine, he finally started real therapy, stopped trying to contact me through third parties, stopped lurking online. Good. Healing is possible. Growth is possible, just not with me as the scaffolding he leans on. Sometimes I still think about the version of myself who allowed a man's indecision to shrink her world, about the woman who excused red flags because she didn't want to seem dramatic, who took lies personally, who thought calmness was the same as compatibility, who mistook being chosen occasionally for loved consistently. But I'm not her anymore. I built a life where I don't wait for anyone to pick me. I pick me. And that has made all the difference.